Hi, my name is Regan, and I run the Refused Films underground Blu-ray label, and I'm also the writer and director of Eating Miss Campbell and My Bloody Banjo. And here I am at Arrow Video to talk about 6 horror comedies that'll make you laugh, make you scared, and make you feel really icky. Here. Okay, so the first on my list is John DeBello's 1988's Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
You wouldn't believe what she can do with 6 milk bottles and a tuning fork.
The Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
It's definitely a learning experience.
Now, this sequel is George Clooney's finest work. It's funny, it's hilarious, the satire is unbelievable. In fact, I feel if you watch Wayne's World, you'll see parallels between the ad placements in that movie and Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Now, my connection with this franchise is my mum bought me this on a Cinema Club VHS, like a sell-through VHS, probably in the mid-90s. And then I went to America, to Florida, and I went into a video store, and I had no idea there were more sequels. So this is like part 2. Of, I think, 4 Killer Tomatoes movies. But when I went to America, there was Killer Tomatoes Strike Back, Killer Tomatoes Eat France, and yeah, so Return of the Killer Tomatoes, probably one of the funniest horror comedies out there, and definitely, the Oscars snubbed George Clooney in 1989 for his role in this movie. So funny. Yeah. Let's have a look, what else? Next up is Frank Henlotter's 1982's Basket Case.
Open it, if you dare. Basket Case.
Now, I'm an independent filmmaker, and to me, if you're into independent horror, this is a movie that'll show you everything. Frank Henenlotter was so hands-on. He even did the stop-motion animation for the main character Belial in this little creature. And what's so great about Frank Henenlotter is he had no money, he shot in a motel, and like he had cast and crew walking out because they're like, how dare you do this like horrendous production? And he stuck to his guns and he got the film finished. And not just that, this is a trilogy. And to me, people talk about Lord of the Rings, talk about Star Wars. For me, the real trilogy is the Basket Case trilogy. And what Frank Henenlotter's, I mean, his body of work in general, like Brain Damage and Frankenhooker, and even Bad Biology, I mean, the guy, everything he touches is incredible. And I think what also I love about Basket Case, it really captures that grimy 80s New York. It's just so untouched, and it's like a time capsule in a way. And to me, especially this Arrow version of the Blu-ray, it looks incredible. And for me, Basket Case is going to be on everyone's list. So yeah, 1982's Basket Case. Where's Killer Klowns? It was around here, I'm sure. Okay, here we go. The Kyoto Brothers, Killer Klowns from Outer Space.
What are you in for?
Killer Klowns from Outer Space. It's crazy.
I saw this film as a kid, rented it from the Rockingham video shop where I live, and it blew me away. Opens up with a fantastic song by the Dickies. The special effects, the makeup, the characters, you know, Officer Mooney is like one of my personal favorites, and his interactions with the new cop Dave, and then there's Mike, and then there's Debbie the girlfriend. Like, not just the clowns in this, but the characters are incredible. And you know, the Kyoto Brothers went on and they made, you know, they did special effects on so many great films like Team America World Police from 2004, or my personal favorite, Ernie Scared Stupid from 1991. And even in Ernie Scared Stupid, if you actually look in the background, the trolls in that movie are actually the same killer clown masks, but just colored so it looks like a troll instead of a clown. Now that's recycling, and especially for independent filmmaking, recycling is very important, and it's also good for the environment. But Killer Klowns, to me, is incredible. And there's always been talk of like a sequel, and there's been talk of a TV show. I'd love to see it happen, because I feel like this was a once-in-a-lifetime thing for the 80s, because they gave Kyoto Brothers a shit ton of money. You know, probably like, you know, maybe 5 to 10 million to make something like this. And it just looks incredible. And it went theatrical, and I miss the days where studios would take chances on movies like A Killer Klowns from Outer Space instead of playing it safe. So to me, Killer Klowns from Outer Space had to be on the list. Okay, I had no idea you put out My Stepmother is an Alien with Dan Aykroyd. That's fantastic. R.I.P. Jim Isaacs, Jason X. Growing up in the early 2000s, I was always a part of the Friday the 13th forum called the Friday the 13th community. And this film, I think, was shot in like 2001, and it was on the shelf for a long time. Maybe in early, maybe they shot it in 2000. And I remember seeing like screen captures from like a bootleg copy, because like Jason in Space was such a surreal idea at the time, because everyone on the forum were waiting for the Freddy vs. Jason, and this came out just prior to that. And then there were talk of like Sean S. Cunningham that was involved, and you know, Sean doesn't like the hockey mask for whatever reason. So going into this and seeing this at the cinema when I was like, I don't know, I think this was rated 15 by the BBFC over here, so I must have been about 15, 16. It just blew me away. And also being a kid at that age in the early 2000s, this trailer was badass. I remember seeing Resident Evil twice just to see the Jason X trailer again. And it had drowning pool bodies, you know, so it was definitely like early 2000s, like the new metal thing. And like growing up in that era, to me, films like a Jason X or Spawn, just incredible, you know, brilliant. So yeah, Jason X, directed by Jim Isaacs. And starring Kane Hodder, which is personally my favorite Jason. It's kind of sad that they looked over Kane Hodder for Freddy vs. Jason, but Ronnie Yu wanted the Frankenstein, so oh well. Go. Next up is Wes Craven's
Last House on the Left.
Now, when this first got re-released in the UK in 2002, it came in this really weird blue packaging with just like, it wasn't a Times New Roman font, but there was like nothing fancy going on with the packaging. And it was censored at the time, and I was 17 when I picked it up. And obviously being a big Wes Craven fan growing up, Freddy Krueger and Shocker, which I think is a really good film, and Scream, obviously. You know, I took a chance on Last House on the Left, and I'm glad I did, because shot on, you know, 16mm film, the grain, the dirt, the filth, and not just that, this isn't just a Wes Craven film. Sean S. Cunningham also produced this, and he obviously created Jason Voorhees' Friday the 13th franchise. But this film, to me, you know when they say Freddy Krueger's the anti-hero, I think the anti-hero in Wes Craven's movies started with Last House on the Left. You got Krug, the main guy here, played by David Hess, and he's got like a ragtag group of people that just, you know, rape and pillage. But they do it with such a whimsical soundtrack, which is also written by the star, David Hess, who plays Krug in the movie. And to me, there's something about the juxtaposition of this, you know, just this brutality against these two young girls, and this do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and it's you know, the score, the songs will get like songs like, you know, Wait for the Rain, will get stuck in your head. And to me, to juxtapose that on the horror of Last House on the Left is such a, I don't know, I never, you know, Wes Craven, obviously, and Sean S. Cunningham knew what they were doing. So for me, this is like it is a horror, but I'd like to call it a black comedy as well. I remember my grandma bought me the CD soundtrack just before I passed away as well, so I keep that near and dear to my heart. And then, Heathers.
Is this as good for you as it is for me?
Are we going to prom or to hell?
Life can suck!
Which for me is such a pivotal film, because this blends horror and comedy. You know, to me this is like one of the first black comedies out there. And for a time where audiences were used to John Hughes movies like, you know, The Breakfast Club, or Pretty in Pink, or 16 Candles, this thing came along and it really skewed the whole kind of like teenage suicide thing, where like, you know, suicide wasn't really spoke about in John Hughes movies. It's all about light romance. This shows a darker side of growing up as a teen. And to me, I mean, Winona Ryder, Christian Slater, and even all the archetypes, I mean, this film was a huge influence on E.T. Miss Campbell. I kind of see it like this. In the 80s, we had Heathers. In the 90s, we had Jawbreaker. In the 2000s, we had Mean Girls. In the 2010s, we had Tragedy Girls, which is by Tyler McIntyre, which is a fantastic film, which I truly recommend. And for me, those films is what kind of made me want to write a film like E.T. Miss Campbell, because you know, I kind of miss that kind of like teenage angst to the point of, you know, where suicide is riffed on, you know, in such a dark comedic way. So I remember watching this on Channel 4, maybe late night, probably about 11 p.m, recorded it, and watched it the next morning and being like, what the hell have I just watched? Because you're not supposed to joke about suicide and death, but Heathers has showed us that we can, yeah. I can't recommend Heathers enough. So that was my 6 black comedy choices. I'd say that those films very much inspired me to become a filmmaker. You know, you got the stop motion charm of Basket Case, you got the black comedy of Heathers, and to me, you know, Last House on the Left, you've got the, you know, complete brutality. And I feel like each one of these films were made by a true independent filmmaker. They may have been made in the studio system or outside the studio system, but really we've got auteurs behind the camera, and I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see studios, you know, especially back in the 80s and 90s, they would throw, like I say, a few million or maybe 5 million to a movie and let the director just run with it. And if it went theatrical or straight to video, it had the production design, but it also had the time for the film to evolve, because, you know, making movies takes a long time, takes a lot of money, and I feel like back then filmmakers had more of a freedom. And what I love about Arrow Video, and I've been a huge Arrow Video fan for, you know, decades, these guys are able to, you know, find the very best and even the nichest of genre cinema. So like every hot pocket of your video store, you know, when you were a kid, like, you know, the VHS rentals, and even like the horror section where you'd be like, what's, you know, what's this title or what's that title? I think what I love about Arrow is that you guys marry the mainstream studio films as well as the straight-to-video independent. And to me, you know, they're all made by real filmmakers, auteur filmmakers, and that's why I chose these 6 films.